Hello everyone, my name is Emily, and I've been teaching English for 7 years now. Today, I want to share something special with you. I'm going to tell you about conversations that happen from morning to night, the kind of real conversations we have every single day. This will help you understand how English sounds in real life, not just in textbooks. I remember when I first started learning languages myself. I found that listening to real stories and conversations helped me so much more than just studying grammar rules. So today, we're going to spend time together, and I'll share stories about daily conversations, morning routines, meeting people, and all the little moments that make up our days. Are you ready? Let's begin our journey through a typical day filled with real English conversations. Oh, before we begin, can I ask you something? If you're enjoying our videos, please give this one a like. Your one like really helps us stay motivated to make more videos for you. And don't forget to leave a comment. We read every single one and try our best to reply. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us, and you'll never miss a new lesson. Alright, let's get started. Chapter 1, Early Morning Conversations. This morning, I woke up at 6:30. The first conversation of my day wasn't with another person, it was actually with myself. Do you ever talk to yourself? I do it all the time, and it's perfectly normal. As I stretched in bed, I said to myself, "Come on, Emily, time to get up. You have a busy day ahead." Then I heard my neighbor's dog barking outside. My neighbor, Mrs. Johnson, was already in her garden. She's 75 years old and has more energy than most people half her age. I opened my window and called out, "Good morning, Mrs. Johnson. Beautiful day, isn't it?" She looked up from her flowers and smiled. "Oh, good morning, dear. Yes, it's lovely. Perfect weather for gardening. How are you feeling today?" "I'm feeling great, thank you. Your flowers look amazing as always." "Well, thank you, sweetheart. You know, these roses have been blooming for 3 weeks now. I water them every morning at 6. This is the kind of conversation that happens between neighbors every day. Simple, friendly, and warm. Mrs. Johnson always asks how I'm feeling, and she always mentions something about her garden. It's our little morning ritual. After talking with Mrs. Johnson, I went to the kitchen to make breakfast. While I was making coffee, my phone rang. It was my sister, Sarah. She lives in another city, about 2 hours away by car. "Hi, Emily. I hope I'm not calling too early." "Not at all. I've been up for 30 minutes already. How are you doing?" "I'm good, but I wanted to ask you something. Do you remember our conversation last week about Mom's birthday party?" "Of course. What about it?" "Well, I was thinking we should surprise her with something special this year. She's turning 60, and I want to make it really memorable." "That sounds wonderful. What did you have in mind?" "I was thinking maybe we could organize a small family gathering. Nothing too big, just close family and a few of her best friends. What do you think?" "I love that idea. Mom would be so happy. She always says she prefers small, intimate celebrations over big parties." "Exactly. And I was wondering if you could help me with the planning. You're so good at organizing events." "Of course I'll help. I'd love to. When were you thinking of having it?" "Her birthday is on Saturday, so maybe we could do it on Sunday afternoon? That way, people can relax and enjoy themselves without worrying about work the next day." "Perfect! Sunday afternoon sounds ideal. Should we have it at your house or mine?" "Actually, I was thinking about having it at Mom's favorite restaurant. You know, that little Italian place downtown where she had her first date with Dad." "Oh, that's such a sweet idea. She tells that story every time we go there. She'll love it." This conversation with my sister took about 15 minutes. We talked about details, shared ideas, and made plans together. This is how families communicate, how we make decisions together, and show love for each other. After hanging up with Sarah, I continued making breakfast. I was scrambling some eggs when my roommate, Jessica, came into the kitchen. Jessica is 28, 2 years younger than me, and she works as a graphic designer. "Morning, Emily. You're up early today." "Good morning. Actually, this is my normal time. I like getting up early. It gives me time to think and plan my day." I wish I could be a morning person like you. I'm definitely more of a night owl. That's okay. Everyone has their own natural rhythm. How did you sleep? Pretty well, thanks. I finished that big project I was working on last night, so I feel relieved. That's great. The one for the marketing company? Yes, exactly. It took me 3 weeks to complete, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm sure it's amazing. You're so talented at what you do. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. Jessica poured herself a cup of coffee and sat at the kitchen table. We continued chatting while I finished making breakfast. Are you teaching today? She asked. Yes, I have 3 classes, 2 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. What about you? Any big projects starting this week? Actually, yes. I'm starting work with a new client tomorrow. They want me to design a website for their small business. That sounds exciting. What kind of business is it? It's a family-owned bakery. They've been making bread and pastries for 20 years, but they've never had a website before. The owner's daughter convinced them they need to go digital. That's wonderful. I love helping small businesses grow. It must feel good to be part of that. It really does. I love working with people who are passionate about what they do. These morning conversations set the tone for my entire day. They're warm, supportive, and full of genuine interest in each other's lives. This is how real relationships work, through these daily check-ins and shared moments. Chapter 2. Conversations on the way to work. After breakfast, I got ready for work and left the house at 8:15. My first stop was the coffee shop on the corner of my street. The owner's name is Carlos, and he's from Mexico. He moved here 5 years ago and opened this little coffee shop. It's become a neighborhood favorite. Good morning, Emily. The usual? Good morning, Carlos. Yes, please. 1 medium cappuccino with an extra shot. Coming right up. How's your week going so far? It's going well, thank you. I'm excited about today, actually. I'm starting a new conversation class with some intermediate students. That sounds interesting. You really love teaching, don't you? I absolutely do. There's something magical about watching students improve and gain confidence in speaking English. I can understand that. When I first came here, I was so nervous about speaking English. But people like you, patient teachers, made all the difference. Your English is excellent now, Carlos. You should be proud of how far you've come. Thank you. I still make mistakes sometimes, but I'm not afraid to speak anymore. That's the most important thing, right? Exactly. Making mistakes is part of learning. The important thing is to keep trying and not be afraid. Carlos handed me my cappuccino, and I paid him. Before leaving, I asked, "How's your family doing? Is your daughter still enjoying school?" Yes, she loves it. She's in second grade now, and her English is already better than mine was when I arrived. Children learn so quickly. That's wonderful. Please tell her I said hello. I will. Have a great day at work, Emily. Thank you. See you tomorrow. This daily interaction with Carlos always makes me smile. He's such a hardworking person, and his positive attitude is contagious. These brief conversations with people in our community create connections that make life richer. On my way to the bus stop, I met my friend Tom. Tom is 35 and works as an accountant at a company downtown. We often take the same bus to work. Hey, Emily, perfect timing. Hi, Tom. Yes, I'm right on schedule today. How was your weekend? It was really nice, thanks. I went hiking with some friends on Saturday. We climbed that trail up to Eagle Rock. Have you ever been there? No, I haven't, but I've heard it's beautiful. How long does it take to get to the top? About 2 hours if you take your time. The view from the top is incredible. You can see the whole city and the mountains in the distance. That sounds amazing. I should try it sometime. I've been wanting to do more outdoor activities. You should. It's great exercise and it's so peaceful up there, away from all the noise and stress of the city. The bus arrived and we got on. We found seats together and continued our conversation. Speaking of stress, Tom said, "How's work been for you lately?" Actually, it's been really good. I love what I do, so it rarely feels stressful. What about you? How are things at the accounting firm? Pretty busy, but that's normal for this time of year. We're working on tax season preparations, so everyone's putting in extra hours. That must be tiring. Do you get to take breaks and relax during the day? We try to. My colleagues are really nice and we support each other when things get hectic. Last week, when I was working late, my coworker Maria brought me dinner from the restaurant next door. That's so thoughtful. It's nice to have supportive colleagues. Definitely. It makes such a difference when you work with people who care about each other. Our bus ride took about 20 minutes, and we spent the time talking about work, weekend plans, and life in general. Tom got off at his stop first. Have a great day, Emily. Let's catch up more this evening if we're on the same bus home. Sounds great. Good luck with your busy day. These conversations during commuting time help make the journey to work more pleasant. Instead of sitting alone, lost in our phones, we connect with the people around us. Chapter 3. Mid-Morning Interactions at Work. I arrived at the language school where I teach at 9 o'clock. The first person I saw was Linda, the receptionist. Linda has worked here for 8 years and knows everything about everyone. She's like the heart of our school. Good morning, Emily. You look happy today. Good morning, Linda. I am happy. It's such a beautiful day, and I'm excited about my new class this morning. Oh, that's right. You're starting the intermediate conversation class today. How many students do you have? 12 students. They're from different countries, which should make for really interesting discussions. That's wonderful. I love how diverse our classes are. Yesterday, I was talking to a student from Brazil, and she told me about her hometown. It sounded so fascinating. Which student was that? Her name is Anna. She's in Roberto's grammar class. She's been studying English for 6 months and has made incredible progress. I think I know Anna. She has such a positive attitude. Students like her make teaching so rewarding. Absolutely. She always greets everyone with a big smile. I picked up my materials from the teacher's lounge and headed to my classroom. On the way, I bumped into my colleague Michael. Michael teaches advanced English classes and has been here for 3 years. Morning, Emily. Ready for your first conversation class? I'm really excited about it. I've prepared some interesting topics that I think will get the students talking. That's great. What kind of topics are you planning to cover? Today, we're going to talk about daily routines and cultural differences. I want them to share stories about their morning routines in their home countries. That sounds perfect for a first class. It's personal enough to be interesting, but not too complicated for intermediate level. Exactly. I want them to feel comfortable sharing and asking questions. You're going to do great. If you need any advice or want to share ideas, you know where to find me. Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate the support. At 9:30, my students started arriving. The first student to enter was Ahmed, a 24-year-old from Egypt. He's been studying English for 8 months and is very motivated to improve his speaking skills. Good morning, Teacher Emily. Good morning, Ahmed. How are you today? I'm very good, thank you. I'm excited for this new class. I want to practice speaking more. That's exactly what we're going to do. This class is all about conversation and building confidence. Perfect! In my country, I studied English grammar for many years, but I didn't have many chances to speak with native speakers. Well, now you'll have plenty of opportunities to practice. And don't worry about making mistakes. We're all here to learn together. Next, Maria from Colombia walked in. She's 32 and works as a nurse at a local hospital. She wants to improve her English to communicate better with her patients. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry, am I late? Not at all, Maria. You're right on time. How was your night shift at the hospital? It was busy, but good. I helped deliver a baby at 3 in the morning. It was beautiful. Wow, that must have been amazing. What an incredible way to start your day. Yes, it gives me so much energy. I love my job, even when I'm tired. More students arrived. Kenji from Japan, Sophia from Russia, Hassan from Morocco, Liu from China, and others. Each brought their own personality and story to our classroom. When everyone was seated, I started the class. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to meet all of you and start this conversation journey together. As you know, I'm Emily, and I've been teaching English for 7 years. But today, I want to learn about all of you. Let's start with something simple. I want each of you to tell us your name, where you're from, and one thing you did this morning before coming to class. Ahmed, would you like to start? Yes, thank you. My name is Ahmed. I'm from Cairo, Egypt. This morning, I woke up at 7. I made traditional Egyptian breakfast, full madams, and I called my mother to say good morning. That's wonderful, Ahmed. Can you tell us what full mesdames is for those who might not know? Of course, it's cooked fava beans with olive oil, lemon, and spices. We eat it with bread. It's very popular in Egypt for breakfast. That sounds delicious. Thank you for sharing. Maria, how about you? Hi everyone, I'm Maria from Bogota, Colombia. This morning was special because I finished my night shift at the hospital and I saw the sunrise on my way home. In Colombia, we say madruga es de sabios, which means waking up early is wise. What a beautiful saying, and what an interesting way to end your workday by watching the sunrise. Kenji, what about you? Hello, my name is Kenji. I'm from Tokyo, Japan. This morning, I practiced calligraphy for 30 minutes before breakfast. In Japan, we believe starting the day with something peaceful helps focus the mind. That's fascinating. I love how everyone has different morning traditions. These cultural differences make our conversations so rich and interesting. The class continued like this, with each student sharing something personal. Liu told us about her morning Tai Chi practice in the park. Sophia shared how she video called her family in Russia during their evening time. Hassan described making mint tea the traditional Moroccan way. By the end of this first conversation, the students were already beginning to feel more comfortable with each other. They were asking follow-up questions and showing genuine interest in each other's cultures. This is exactly what conversation class should be, I thought to myself. Real people sharing real experiences. Chapter 4. Lunchtime Conversations. After my morning classes, it was time for lunch. I usually eat in the teacher's lounge with my colleagues, but today I decided to try the new sandwich shop across the street. As I was walking there, I met one of my former students, Patricia. Patricia is from Brazil and took my beginner class 2 years ago. Emily, is that you? Patricia! Oh my goodness, how wonderful to see you. How are you doing? I'm doing great. I'm working at the marketing company downtown now, and my English has improved so much since your class. That's fantastic. I'm so proud of you. Tell me about your job. I'm working as a social media coordinator. I create content in both Portuguese and English, and I help companies reach international customers. Wow, that's amazing! You've come such a long way from when you first started in my beginner class. I remember being so nervous to speak English. You were so patient with me. Do you remember when I was afraid to order food in English? Of course I remember. And now, look at you, working in English every day. That's incredible progress. Thank you for believing in me. Your encouragement made all the difference. It was my pleasure, Patricia. Students like you remind me why I love teaching. We hugged goodbye, and I continued to the sandwich shop. Inside, there was a short line, so I had time to look at the menu. The woman in front of me seemed confused about the options. "Excuse me," she said to the cashier. "Could you help me understand the difference between these sandwiches?" The cashier, whose name tag read Jake, smiled patiently. "Of course, what would you like to know?" "I'm not sure what pastrami is, and I don't know what comes with the club sandwich." No problem. Pastrami is a type of seasoned smoked beef. It's really flavorful and tender. The club sandwich comes with turkey, ham, bacon, lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise on 3 pieces of toasted bread. Oh, thank you. The club sandwich sounds good. Can I have that, please? Absolutely. What would you like to drink with that? Just water, please. I could tell from her accent that English wasn't her first language, but she was communicating clearly and confidently. It made me think about all my students and how brave they are every day using English in real situations like this. When it was my turn, Jake greeted me warmly. "Hi there, what can I get for you today?" "Hi, I'd like the grilled chicken sandwich with avocado, please." Great choice. That's one of our most popular sandwiches. Would you like any sides with that? Could I get some of those sweet potato chips? Of course, and what would you like to drink? I'll have an iced tea, please. Perfect, that'll be $12.50. As I was waiting for my order, the woman who had ordered before me sat at a nearby table. She was looking at her phone and seemed to be translating something. I decided to introduce myself. Excuse me, I hope you don't mind me asking, but are you learning English? She looked up and smiled. Yes, I am. How could you tell? I'm an English teacher, and I heard you asking about the menu items. You're doing really well. Thank you so much. That's very encouraging. I moved here 6 months ago from South Korea. My name is Mina. Nice to meet you, Mina. I'm Emily. How are you finding life here so far? It's exciting but challenging. The hardest part is understanding people when they speak fast, and sometimes I worry about my pronunciation. That's completely normal. You're speaking very clearly right now. Where are you studying English? I'm taking classes at the community college, but I try to practice in real situations like this as much as possible. That's the best way to learn. Real conversations are so much more valuable than just textbook exercises. Yes, my teacher says the same thing. She always encourages us to go out and use English in daily life. Jake called out that my order was ready, so I got up to collect it. It was lovely meeting you, Mina. Keep up the great work with your English. Thank you, Emily. Maybe I'll see you around the neighborhood. I hope so. Good luck with your studies. I took my sandwich back to the school and ate in the courtyard. While I was eating, I called my friend Rachel. Rachel and I went to university together, and now she works as a journalist for the local newspaper. Hey, Emily, how's your day going? Hi, Rachel. It's going really well. I just started a new conversation class this morning, and I'm excited about this group of students. That's great. You always get so enthusiastic about your new classes. What makes this group special? They're all intermediate level, but they come from so many different countries. This morning, we were talking about morning routines, and it was fascinating to hear about all the different cultural traditions. That does sound interesting. I love learning about different cultures. Speaking of which, I'm working on an article about international students in our city. Would you be willing to give me some insights about the challenges they face? Of course, I'd be happy to help. What kind of information are you looking for? Well, I'm particularly interested in the social and cultural adjustments, not just the language learning part. That's a great angle. From my experience, one of the biggest challenges is building genuine friendships with native speakers. Many international students feel like they're stuck in a bubble with only other international students. Really? Why do you think that happens? I think native speakers sometimes don't realize how to make international students feel included. It's not intentional, but cultural differences in communication styles can make it difficult. Can you give me an example? Sure, in many cultures, people are more indirect in their communication. So when an American student says, "We should hang out sometime," they might mean it as a general, friendly comment. But an international student might take it as a specific invitation and wait for follow-up. That's such an interesting point. I never thought about how those casual expressions could be confusing. Exactly, and then both sides end up feeling disappointed or confused. This is really helpful, Emily. Would you be willing to do a more formal interview for the article? Absolutely. When would be good for you? How about Thursday evening? We could meet at that coffee shop you like. Perfect. I'll bring some specific examples and maybe some suggestions for how the community can be more welcoming. That would be wonderful. Thanks, Emily. After lunch, I had about 15 minutes before my afternoon class, so I decided to walk around the block to get some fresh air. On my walk, I passed by the small park next to our school. There was an elderly man sitting on a bench, feeding pigeons from a bag of breadcrumbs. "They really love you," I said, watching the pigeons gather around his feet. He looked up and smiled. "I've been coming here every day for 3 years. I think they recognize me now." "That's so sweet. Do you live nearby?" "Yes, just 2 blocks away. I retired 3 years ago, and this has become part of my daily routine. It gives me something to look forward to each day." "What did you do before you retired?" "I was a librarian at the downtown library for 35 years. I loved helping people find information and discover new books. What a wonderful career! Libraries are such important places in our communities. They really are. I still volunteer there twice a week, helping with the computer classes for seniors. That's amazing. It's great that you're staying involved and helping others. It keeps me active and connected. Plus, I learn something new every time I help someone with technology. That's a beautiful attitude. Well, I should get back to work, but it was lovely talking with you. Likewise, dear. Have a wonderful rest of your day. These spontaneous conversations with strangers always remind me how much we can learn from each other when we take the time to connect. Chapter 5: Afternoon Teaching and Student Interactions. My afternoon class was a one-on-one session with David, a businessman from Germany who needed to improve his English for international meetings. David is 43 years old and runs a small manufacturing company that exports products worldwide. Good afternoon, Emily. I apologize for being a few minutes late. My conference call with clients in Japan ran longer than expected. No worries at all, David. How did the call go? It went well, actually, but I realized I still struggle with some technical vocabulary when explaining our manufacturing processes. That's completely understandable. Technical vocabulary is challenging even for native speakers sometimes. What specific terms were difficult for you? Well, we were discussing quality control procedures, and I couldn't find the right words to explain our testing methods. Let's work on that today then. Can you tell me about your testing process in simple terms first? Certainly. We make metal parts for machines. Before we send them to customers, we check each part to make sure it's the right size and strength. That's a great start. Now, let's add some professional vocabulary. Instead of check, you could say inspect or examine. Instead of the right size, you might say meets, specifications, or conforms to standards. Ah, yes, conforms to standards sounds much more professional. Exactly, and instead of strength, you could use durability or structural integrity depending on what you're measuring. This is very helpful. Could we practice a whole explanation using this vocabulary? Of course, let's roleplay. I'll be your Japanese client, and you explain your quality control process using the new vocabulary. Alright, we inspect every component to ensure it conforms to international standards. Our testing procedures verify the structural integrity and dimensional accuracy of each part. Excellent! That sounds very professional. How confident do you feel using these terms? Much more confident. It's amazing how the right vocabulary can make such a difference in how professional you sound. That's exactly right, David. Language is a tool, and having the right vocabulary is like having the right equipment for your job. We spent the next 30 minutes practicing different business scenarios. David told me about a challenging situation from last week. I had a difficult conversation with a supplier who delivered materials late. I wanted to express my disappointment professionally, but I was worried about being too harsh or too weak. That's a delicate balance in any language. What did you end up saying? I said something like, "We are not happy with the delay. This causes problems for us." That gets the message across, but we can make it sound more diplomatic and professional. How about, "We're concerned about the delivery delay as it impacts our production schedule." Oh, that's much better. It explains the problem without sounding accusatory. Exactly. In business English, we often use phrases like, "we're concerned about," or "we'd like to address," instead of direct complaints. This is so valuable. In German business culture, we tend to be very direct. But I'm learning that English-speaking business culture requires more diplomatic language. That's a great observation, David. Cultural awareness is just as important as vocabulary when communicating internationally. David's lesson reminded me how much my students teach me about their cultures while I'm helping them with English. Every lesson is an exchange of knowledge and perspectives. After David's class, I had a short break before my final class of the day. I was in my classroom preparing materials when there was a knock on my door. It was Anna, the Brazilian student Linda had mentioned that morning. "Excuse me, Teacher Emily, do you have a few minutes?" "Of course, Anna. Please come in. How can I help you?" "I have a question about American culture. In my grammar class, we were discussing different ways to say goodbye, and I'm confused about when to use them. That's a great question. Cultural context is so important. What specific situation are you wondering about? Well, yesterday I was leaving the grocery store and the cashier said, "Have a blessed day." I didn't know how to respond. In Brazil, we have religious expressions too, but I wasn't sure if I should say something religious back or just say thank you. That's such a good observation, Anna. Have a blessed day is common in some parts of America, especially in the South. You can simply respond with, "Thank you, you too." Or, "Thanks, same to you." You don't need to use religious language if you're not comfortable with it. Oh, that makes me feel better. I was worried I was being rude by just saying thank you. Not at all. Politeness in America is more about showing appreciation and respect than using specific phrases. That's helpful to know. In Brazil, we have many different ways to say goodbye depending on the time of day and how well you know the person. Really? Can you give me some examples? Sure, with friends, we might say ciao, which is like bye. But with older people or in formal situations, we say tenha un bom dia, which is have a good day. And with family, we have even more affectionate expressions. That's fascinating. It sounds similar to English in some ways. We also change our language based on the relationship and formality level. Yes, but the specific phrases are different. I'm still learning which English expressions are appropriate for which situations. You're doing wonderfully, Anna. The fact that you're thinking about these cultural nuances shows how much you've progressed. Thank you, Teacher Emily. Your encouragement means a lot to me. Anna's question sparked an idea for my evening conversation class. Cultural differences in greetings and goodbyes will be a perfect topic for discussion. Chapter 6: Evening Class and Deeper Conversations. My final class of the day started at 6 o'clock. This was an evening conversation class for working adults who couldn't attend daytime sessions. The group included Rosa, a chef from Mexico, Peter, an engineer from Poland, Fatima, a doctor from Pakistan, and James, a computer programmer from South Korea who had chosen an English name for professional purposes. Good evening, everyone. How was everyone's day? Rosa spoke first. My day was very busy. We had a big catering order at the restaurant where I work. I had to prepare food for a wedding reception for 150 people. Wow, that sounds like a lot of work. How long did it take you to prepare everything? We started at 5 in the morning and finished at 3 in the afternoon. But it was beautiful to see how happy the family was with the food. That must be so rewarding. Fatima, how was your day at the hospital? It was challenging but good. I had to explain a complex medical procedure to a patient's family, and I was nervous about using the right English medical terms. That's such an important skill in your profession. How did it go? Better than I expected. The family asked many questions, and I was able to answer most of them clearly, but I still struggle with some technical vocabulary. That's completely normal. Medical English has so much specialized vocabulary. Peter, what about your day? I had an interesting experience today. I was in a meeting with American colleagues, and someone used an expression I didn't understand. They said the project was a piece of cake. I was very confused because we weren't talking about food. Everyone laughed, including James, who said, "I know that feeling. English idioms are so confusing." Last week, someone told me it was raining cats and dogs, and I looked outside expecting to see animals falling from the sky. These are perfect examples of why English can be so challenging. I said, "Peter, a piece of cake means something is very easy to do, and James, raining cats and dogs means it's raining very heavily." Rosa added, "In Spanish, we say está lloviendo a cántaros, which means it's raining pitchers. Every language has these funny expressions." That's such a good point, Rosa. Idioms exist in every language, and they often don't make logical sense. James, what was the most interesting part of your day? Actually, I had a conversation with my American coworker about cultural differences in the workplace. In Korea, we have very formal relationships with our supervisors, but here, my boss told me to call him by his first name. How did that feel for you? Strange at first. In Korea, using someone's first name with a supervisor would be very disrespectful. But I'm learning that American workplace culture is more casual in some ways. That's a great observation. Cultural adaptation is just as important as language learning. Fatima, have you noticed similar differences in your workplace? Yes. In Pakistan, we show respect to senior doctors by using very formal language. Here, while there's still respect, the communication style is more direct and collaborative. It sounds like you're all navigating not just language differences, but cultural differences too. That takes a lot of courage and adaptability. The conversation continued for an hour, with students sharing experiences, asking questions, and learning from each other. These evening classes always felt more intimate and reflective than daytime classes. Toward the end of class, Rosa shared something personal. Can I tell you all something? When I first came here 2 years ago, I was so homesick. I missed my family, my culture, everything familiar. Learning English felt impossible. What changed for you? Fatima asked gently. I realized that learning English wasn't about losing my Mexican identity. It was about adding another layer to who I am. Now I can share my culture with English-speaking people, and I can understand their culture better too. That's beautiful, Rosa, Peter said. I feel the same way. English has opened doors I never expected. James nodded. Yes, it's like having a bridge to connect with people from all over the world. You've all expressed something so important, I told them. Language learning isn't about changing who you are. It's about expanding who you can become. As class ended, the students lingered, continuing their conversations in small groups. These moments reminded me why I love teaching. It's not just about grammar and vocabulary, it's about helping people connect across cultures and find their voices in a new language. Chapter 7. Evening Conversations and Reflections. After classes ended, I walked to the bus stop with Peter, who lives in the same direction as me. We continued our conversation from class. Emily, can I ask you something personal? As a native English speaker, do you ever struggle with communication? That's such a thoughtful question, Peter. Yes, absolutely. Communication is challenging even in your native language. Sometimes I struggle to find the right words to express complex emotions or ideas. And miscommunication happens all the time, even between native speakers. Really, that makes me feel better about my own struggles. Of course, just last week, I had a misunderstanding with my sister about Mom's birthday party plans. We were both speaking English, but we interpreted the same words differently. What happened? Well, when she said small gathering, I was thinking maybe 8 people, but she was thinking more like 20 people. We had very different ideas of what small meant. Peter laughed. That's exactly the kind of thing that confuses me about English. Words can have different meanings depending on context and personal interpretation. Exactly, and that's why context is so important in any language. It's not just about knowing vocabulary and grammar. It's about understanding the situation, the culture, and the person you're talking to. Our bus arrived and we found seats together. Peter continued the conversation. Can I tell you something? When I first started learning English, I thought native speakers never made mistakes or had communication problems. That's a common misconception. Native speakers make grammar mistakes, mispronounce words, and have awkward conversations all the time. The difference is that we don't usually worry about it because we know people will understand us anyway. That's liberating to hear. I put so much pressure on myself to speak perfectly. Peter, your English is excellent. Yes, you make small mistakes sometimes, but your communication is clear and effective. That's what really matters. Thank you, Emily. These conversations we have really boost my confidence. Peter got off at his stop, and I continued alone for a few more minutes. When I got home, Jessica was in the living room, working on her laptop. Hey, how were your classes today? Really wonderful. I had such interesting conversations with my students. They taught me so much about their cultures and perspectives. That's what I love about your job. You get to learn something new every day. It's true. Today I learned about Korean workplace culture, Brazilian goodbye expressions, and Pakistani medical hierarchy. Where else would I get that kind of education? Nowhere. Want some tea? I just made a pot. That sounds perfect. Jessica poured us both cups of chamomile tea and we settled on the couch. I've been thinking about something, Jessica said. You know how you're always talking about cultural differences with your students? Yes. Well, I realize that even though we're both American, we have cultural differences too. You're from the Midwest, and I'm from the West Coast. We communicate differently sometimes. That's such an interesting observation. Can you give me an example? Well, when you first moved in, I thought you were being sarcastic when you were actually being sincere. Where I'm from, people are more direct, but you use more subtle expressions. I never thought about that. You're right. Regional differences within the same country can be just as challenging as international differences. It made me realize how hard it must be for your international students to navigate not just American culture, but all the regional variations within American culture. That's exactly right. An expression that's common in Texas might be completely unfamiliar to someone in New York. It's amazing that people can communicate across cultures at all. But they do, and that's the beautiful thing about human connection. People find ways to understand each other despite language and cultural barriers. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment, sipping our tea. Then Jessica asked, "Do you ever miss speaking your native language with native speakers? I mean, do you ever get tired of adjusting your English for non-native speakers?" You know, I've never thought of it as adjusting or simplifying. When I'm teaching or talking with my students, I'm just communicating in the most effective way for the situation. It's like when you're designing for different clients, you adapt your style to meet their needs, right? That's a good analogy. I do adjust my design style depending on whether I'm working with a tech startup or a traditional law firm. Exactly. It's not that one way is better or worse, it's just different approaches for different contexts. I admire how naturally you do that. I've watched you switch between talking to me and answering calls from students, and your whole communication style changes. Really? I don't even notice myself doing it. You speak more slowly with students, use simpler sentence structures, and you're more expressive with your gestures and facial expressions. Huh, I guess it's become automatic after 7 years of teaching. Around 9 o'clock, my phone rang. It was my mom calling from her house about an hour away. "Hi, honey. How was your day?" "Hi, Mom. It was really good. I started a new conversation class, and the students are wonderful. How are you doing?" "I'm doing well. I've been thinking about this birthday party Sarah mentioned. You girls don't need to make a big fuss for me." "Mom, we want to celebrate you. You're turning 60. That's a milestone." "I know, but I'd be happy with just a quiet dinner with my daughters." "Well, Sarah and I are planning something special, but don't worry, it won't be overwhelming. We know you prefer intimate gatherings." "You girls know me so well. As long as I get to spend time with my family, I'll be happy." "That's exactly what we're planning." "Mom, can I ask you something? Do you remember when you used to help me with my homework when I was little?" "Of course, you were such a curious child, always asking why about everything." I was thinking about that today because I see the same curiosity in my students. They ask questions about everything, just like I did. That's wonderful, dear. Curiosity is such a gift. It's what makes people keep learning and growing. You always encouraged my questions, even when they were silly or repetitive. No question is silly, Emily. That's something I learned from being a mother. Children and students need to feel safe to ask anything. I try to create that same safe environment in my classes. I'm sure you do. You've always been so patient and caring with people. We talked for another 20 minutes about family, work, and life in general. These regular conversations with my mom always ground me and remind me of what's important. After hanging up, I made myself a light dinner and reflected on the day. From my morning conversation with Mrs. Johnson to my evening chat with Mom, the day had been filled with meaningful connections. Each conversation had taught me something new, whether it was about Egyptian breakfast foods, Korean workplace culture, or regional American communication styles. This is what I love most about human interaction. We're constantly learning from each other. Chapter 8: Nighttime Conversations and Preparing for Tomorrow. Around 10:30, I was getting ready for bed when my phone buzzed with a text message from Tom, my friend from the morning bus ride. "Hey Emily, how was your day? Did your new conversation class go well?" I texted back, "It was amazing. The students are so engaged and interesting. How was your busy day at work?" "Exhausting but productive. We finished the tax preparation project ahead of schedule." "That's great. You must feel relieved." "Definitely. Want to grab coffee before work tomorrow? I want to hear more about your new students." "I'd love that. Same coffee shop at 8:00? Perfect. See you then." This kind of spontaneous plan making is something I really value in friendships. Tom and I have developed this comfortable routine of checking in with each other and making impromptu plans. I was brushing my teeth when Jessica knocked on the bathroom door. "Emily, I just got a call from my sister in Portland. She's going through a difficult time and needs someone to talk to. Would it be okay if I have a long phone conversation?" "I know it's getting late." "Of course. Take all the time you need. Is everything okay?" "She's going through a divorce, and she's feeling really overwhelmed. She doesn't have many people to talk to right now." "I'm sorry to hear that. Family support is so important during difficult times. Don't worry about the noise. I'll close my bedroom door." "Thank you for being so understanding." "That's what roommates are for. Give her my best wishes." As I was settling into bed, I could hear Jessica's gentle voice from the living room, offering comfort and support to her sister. It reminded me of the phone call I'd had with my own sister that morning, planning Mom's birthday party. These family connections that span across distances are so precious. I picked up the book I was reading, a collection of short stories by international authors. Tonight I was reading a story by a writer from Bangladesh. As I read, I thought about how literature helps us understand different cultures and perspectives, just like my conversations with students do. The story was about a young woman leaving her village to study in the city and the conversations she had with her family before leaving. The dialogue felt so authentic, capturing the mix of excitement and fear that comes with big life changes. Reading this story made me think about all my students who had made similar journeys, leaving their home countries to build new lives in America. Each of them had probably had similar conversations with their families, filled with love, worry, hope, and encouragement. Around 11:15, there was a gentle knock on my bedroom door. "Emily, are you still awake?" "Yes, come in." Jessica opened the door, looking emotionally drained. "How's your sister doing?" "Better, I think. Sometimes people just need someone to listen, you know?" "Absolutely. Listening is one of the most important gifts we can give someone." She kept apologizing for bothering me with her problems, but I told her that's what sisters are for. "You're such a good sister, Jessica. I'm sure your support means everything to her right now." "I hope so. It's hard being so far away when someone you love is struggling." Distance is difficult, but emotional support can travel any distance. Your voice and your caring probably gave her exactly what she needed tonight. Thank you for saying that, and thank you for being so considerate about the late phone call. Of course, we all need support sometimes. That's part of living together and caring about each other. Jessica smiled and said goodnight. After she left, I thought about the different types of conversations that happen throughout a single day. From the cheerful morning greetings to the supportive late-night phone calls, each conversation serves a different purpose and meets different human needs. As I was finally drifting off to sleep, I planned tomorrow's lessons in my mind. I wanted to ask my students about the different types of conversations they have throughout their days. I was curious to learn about conversation patterns in their cultures. Do people in Japan have different expectations for small talk? How do families in Morocco handle difficult conversations? What role does humor play in Colombian conversations? These were the kinds of questions that excited me about teaching. Chapter 9: Late Night Reflections and Cultural Insights. Just as I was about to fall asleep, I heard a sound outside my window. It was Mrs. Johnson, my elderly neighbor, talking to someone in her backyard. I could hear two voices, hers and a man's voice I didn't recognize. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but their voices carried clearly through my open window. Thank you so much for coming over so late, Robert. I was really worried about Bella. It's no problem at all, Mrs. Johnson. That's what neighbors are for. How long has she been acting unusual? Since this afternoon. She wouldn't eat her dinner and she's been hiding under the porch. That's not like her at all. I realized they were talking about Mrs. Johnson's cat, Bella, and the man must be another neighbor who came to help. This small act of neighborly kindness made me smile. She seems okay now, Robert said. Sometimes cats just have off days, like people do. But if she's still not eating tomorrow, you should probably call the vet. I will. I just feel so much better knowing you took a look at her. At my age, I worry about everything more than I used to. That's completely understandable. And you can always call me if you need anything. That's what community is about. You're such a blessing, Robert. Your parents raised you right. Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. That means a lot coming from you. This brief conversation reminded me of something my students often mention, the differences they notice in American community relationships compared to their home countries. Some find Americans friendlier and more helpful than expected, while others find the relationships more superficial than they're used to. Ahmed from Egypt once told me that in his neighborhood in Cairo, people knew intimate details about each other's lives, families, and problems. Everyone looked out for everyone else's children, and neighbors were like extended family. Maria from Colombia said something similar. In her neighborhood in Bogota, neighbors gathered in the evening to talk and catch up on daily events. Children played together in the streets, while adults supervised collectively. But Kenji from Japan had a different perspective. He found American neighborliness refreshing because in his apartment building in Tokyo, people rarely spoke to each other beyond polite greetings. He appreciated that Americans seemed more willing to have casual conversations with strangers. These cultural differences in community relationships fascinate me. There's no right or wrong way to build community, just different approaches based on cultural values and urban design. I thought about Mrs. Johnson and Robert's conversation. It showed caring, respect, and mutual support, the same values my students describe from their own cultures, just expressed in a different way. Chapter 10: Morning Preparation and Tomorrow's Conversations. I woke up naturally at 6:15 the next morning, feeling refreshed and excited about the day ahead. As I was getting ready, I thought about my coffee date with Tom and wondered what news stories my students would share in class. While making breakfast, I realized that yesterday had given me so much material for future lessons. The conversation with Anna about cultural expressions of goodbye, Peter's confusion about idioms, and Rosa's reflection on maintaining cultural identity while learning English, all of these could become discussion topics for other classes. This is one of the things I love most about teaching English as a second language. Every day brings new insights about communication, culture, and human connection. My students teach me as much as I teach them. As I was getting dressed, Jessica emerged from her room, looking much more relaxed than she had the night before. Good morning, how did you sleep? Really well, thank you. My sister is doing better this morning. She sent me a text saying our conversation last night helped her feel less alone. I'm so glad. Sometimes that's all we can do for people we love. Let them know they're not alone. Exactly. She's going to talk to a counselor today, which is a big step for her. That's wonderful news. Professional support combined with family support is such a powerful combination. I hope so. What about you? Any exciting plans for today? I'm meeting Tom for coffee before work, and then I have classes all day. I'm really looking forward to continuing yesterday's conversations with my students. You always sound so enthusiastic about your work. It's inspiring. Thank you. I feel very lucky to do something I'm passionate about. I gathered my materials for the day and headed out to meet Tom. The morning air was crisp and clean, perfect weather for walking. As I approached the coffee shop, I could see Tom already waiting outside. Good morning. You're early today. Good morning, Emily. I was excited to hear about your new class, so I got here a few minutes early. Well, let's get some coffee and I'll tell you all about it. We ordered our usual drinks from Carlos, who greeted us both warmly. Good morning, Emily and Tom. How are my two favorite customers today? We're great, Carlos. How's your daughter doing in school? She's wonderful. Yesterday, she helped me translate a business letter from English to Spanish. She's becoming my little helper. That's amazing. Bilingual children are such gifts to their families. Yes, she helps me understand American culture too. Sometimes she explains things to me that I don't understand. This brief exchange with Carlos reminded me of something else my students often discuss: the role their children play in cultural adaptation. Many of my adult students tell me their children learn English faster and help the whole family navigate American systems and customs. Tom and I found a table by the window, and I shared stories from yesterday's classes. He was particularly interested in the cultural differences my students had described. It's fascinating how communication styles vary so much between cultures, Tom said. In my work, I deal with international clients sometimes, and I've noticed these differences too. Really? Can you give me an example? Well, I have a client from Germany, like your student David, and he's very direct in his communication. At first, I thought he was being rude, but then I realized it was just a cultural difference in directness. That's exactly what David and I were discussing. German business culture tends to be more direct than American business culture. Yes, and I have another client from Japan who communicates very indirectly. Sometimes I have to read between the lines to understand what he really needs. These are perfect examples of why cultural awareness is so important in any international interaction. Your students are lucky to have a teacher who understands these nuances. Thank you, Tom, but honestly, they're the ones teaching me about cultural differences. Every day I learn something new. Our conversation was interrupted by a text message on Tom's phone. Oh, I'm sorry, Emily. This is from my boss. There's an emergency at work, and I need to get there early. No problem at all. Go take care of business. Thanks for understanding. Let's continue this conversation tonight on the bus ride home? Absolutely. Good luck with your emergency. Tom hurried off to work, and I had a few extra minutes before I needed to get to school. I decided to walk slowly and observe the morning conversations happening around me. At the bus stop, two women were discussing their weekend plans. At the crosswalk, a father was teaching his young son how to safely cross the street. Outside the bakery, the owner was chatting with a delivery driver about the weather. All of these brief interactions reminded me that conversation is the foundation of human society. We use language not just to exchange information, but to build relationships, show care, solve problems, and create community. As I walked into the school building, I felt grateful for my role in helping people develop these essential communication skills. Every grammar lesson, vocabulary exercise, and conversation practice session is ultimately about helping people connect with others and participate fully in their communities. Linda greeted me at the reception desk with her usual warmth. Good morning, Emily. You look thoughtful today. Good morning, Linda. I was just thinking about how important conversation is in people's daily lives. That's deep thinking for a Tuesday morning, but you're right. I spend my whole day having conversations with students, teachers, parents, and visitors. Each conversation is different and important. Exactly, and that's what I want my students to understand. English isn't just about passing tests or completing assignments. It's about participating in all these daily human interactions. That's why you're such a good teacher, Emily. You help students see the bigger picture. Thank you, Linda. That means a lot. As I walked to my classroom, I thought about the day ahead. I would have conversations with colleagues, students, and maybe strangers. Each conversation would be an opportunity to connect, learn, and grow. This is the beautiful cycle of human communication. We share our experiences, learn from others, and use that knowledge to have better conversations in the future. My students are part of this cycle, bringing their own cultural perspectives while learning new ways to express themselves in English. Today, like every day, would be filled with the magic of people connecting across languages and cultures through the power of conversation. And I get to be part of that magic every single day. And so, another day of conversations begins, filled with endless possibilities for connection, learning, and growth. The cycle continues, and I'm grateful to be part of it.